Do you guys remember that day, like when you like figured it out how to wipe your own ass?
No, but I will say this. I do remember the day my wife finally saw me mid-act of wiping my ass.
No
Yeah.
man should ever be seen like that.
On this week's Rated G, I'm sorry it's late.
On Saturday, it was fucking hot. But again, your boy just endures the fucking heat, man. I like to attribute it to my Filipino genes, We're used to the humidity and the heat. We got the sun on our flag, so we just like Superman grab the energy and the strength from the sun. So I've discovered like, oh, this is my story. This is who I'm trying to sell to and connect with. If I'm being honest, it really has helped me gain more clarity as to why I make the art that I make. I've talked about how I don't fully subscribe to finding a niche. I believe that I'm the niche. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another solo edition of the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G. Derrado. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back and thank you for your continued support. And for everyone else who is new here, welcome to the show. Here on the podcast, I like to sit down and share my honest thoughts and discussions revolving all things art and creativity, as well as other aspects in life. And sometimes, rather frequently, I do feature guests that are local artists, creators, musicians, performers, just local creative entrepreneurs, small business owners, and I try to help promote their brand and their passion, as well as sharing their backstory. So if you enjoy this type of content, please be sure to hit that like button, follow, subscribe, ring the notification bell. That way you can keep up with all the current uploads. And if you're listening only, definitely check out the YouTube video. All right, I post on there as well. Okay, and I post other video content there. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find all the links provided in the show description. All right, so let's get into it. All right, I don't want to waste too much time on the intro because it's been quite a summer. Basically, what we're gonna get into is just recapping the markets that I was working at this summer, and some what I call aha moments, because yeah, there's been a couple of those moments as of late. So we'll start with July, the July markets. Actually, kind of, I don't know, like it's been so busy that I kind of forgot which events I actually did in July. So we actually started with the pop-up at the Diamond. Now, I gotta say, it may have been the best outcome I've had in terms of sales, which was I don't know, it was a little surprising because I guess just the way that day was going, it felt slow in terms of interacting and networking, but just towards the end, especially at the last hour, people came in. And I mean, when I say people, honestly, I'm talking about like just a couple of people came last minute and just spent spent a good amount of money on my prints. And very very fortunate, very grateful for their support. I'm always happy to send my artwork to other people's homes. So yeah, it was definitely the best outcome I've had there. Um, and Yeah, I don't know, because like I've had, if you've tuned in before, or caught any episodes or moments where I'm talking about pop up at the Diamond, I kind of have like, I'll be honest, I sometimes have mixed feelings about the way it's well, not the way it's organized, but I don't know. There's well, yeah, I mean the way it's organized actually, but I don't know. Like I have mixed feelings about it. Um, maybe just because I don't know. I could also be a bit jaded, maybe. I don't know, like just doing this for as long as I have been. Um, but despite how I've been feeling about pop-up, um, yeah, I couldn't be more grateful for how this one turned out. So I don't know, like I keep contemplating like, all right, am I gonna keep doing pop up? Because I don't know, I just there have been like negative outcomes. I've talked about it before, being rained out and whatnot, and even times when I do visit when I'm not working there, and I'll visit just to check out the layout, check out the foot traffic, what vendors they have over there, and yeah, so I just I'm like 50-50 on like how I want to proceed. Um, but I don't know. It is what it is. As far as like location goes, because they do another pop-up at the park, and I'm pretty sure I've expressed my thoughts on that one. Uh, in my opinion, and I don't want to speak for others, but I'll say, the common there's been like a common agreement amongst other vendors that have done the pop up at the park, and it was rather negative, and I don't want to disparage the organizer and their efforts. I think anybody that's organizing events to help support local businesses, like that's awesome, right? But there are some snakes out there, so it's like sometimes you gotta be careful, right? You gotta kind of, I don't know if it's like read between the lines on certain situations, but I don't know. It's just that, I mean, I do well with pop up at the Diamond, right? At the Diamond, because I am not gonna ever do the park. Um, I generally do well at the Diamond, but again, for some reason in July, that happened to be the best outcome. So, that was that one, and then Moon Market. I did the Moon Market once again. I've been doing a lot of the Moon Markets, and I'm not complaining. I love. I mean, it's my decision, right? I'm always applying to any and every Moon Market that I can. Um, and Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think anything in particular that went down. I can remember actually a couple of great exchanges. I've seen a couple of familiar faces, some people that I met in from Facebook groups, and but I had one interaction with somebody that bought a Michelangelo print, and I don't know if I, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm like getting in my head. Um, but yeah, the buyer, he supposedly, shit, what was somehow he was connected with the guys that worked on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon series from 2003, I think it was. And I never watched that one, and I have been hearing how how accurate that series was to the comics. So I had a friend that was really trying to push it on me. He's like, "You gotta check it out, man. Like, if you love Ninja Turtles, like, you should definitely check this one out." So soon enough I will. Um, but yeah, this guy supposedly worked or works. I think he either knows these people or he actually works with some of these people that worked on that series. I believe he mentioned that he even knows like the people that voice acted for the Ninja Turtles, and he was kind of hyping me up, which like I don't know, like it was really nice. If I'm being honest, like some I oftentimes could really use that. I'm rather self-deprecating. you know, Sometimes I don't uh, believe in myself as much or as I should. I know I've talked about it before on here that I really need to lean in on believing in myself and all that. But it is a work in progress. Uh, but yeah, the dude was really hyping me up, and which is fine. He was telling me like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to these guys, and because he what was it? He loved the style that I drew the turtles, and another thing that he was saying that is that it reminded him of the comic books. Shoot, which company was it? Ninja Turtles? Is it Dark Horse or IDW? I think. I'm looking at. If you're listening, I'm trying to look at my comic book collection here. Uh, yeah, IDW. And I'll be honest, the style that I drew the turtles in was inspired by those artists. I'm terrible with the names, especially when it comes to artists, but I really dug their style. So, I kind of want to have that influence within my own interpretation. So, yeah, the dude was like kind of praising how I, went about it with these guys with the turtles. So, yeah, he was just like, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to some people, and like maybe it'll land you like a gig to work on like future comics. Like he was real, like I said, he was really hyping me up. Um, Nothing came of it so far. And like who knows, he might have forgotten. He might have forgotten to tell his boys. But it's all good. Like honestly, I say it all the time, like aside from getting my name out there and selling my artwork, like I just I'm a people person. I'm very personable, right? If you can't tell. uh so I love talking to people. I love like geeking out the shit that we're into, and just talking about art, and sharing the stories within some of my personal work. So yeah, I mean, whether he was just blowing smoke up my ass, uh, I mean, whatever, man. Like, I had a lot, I just had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun talking to him and just seeing the enthusiasm, in his eyes and hearing it in his voice when we're talking about this stuff. So, trying to think if that was, like that was probably the one of the more I don't want to say significant, but one of the more moments that really that pops up in my head right now. Um, oh, there was something funny that I realized was that there was my neighbor, this other artist. Um, it's funny because like when I do these events, I'm so in the zone in terms of like just handling business, right? Um, and I didn't even realize the person next to me was someone that I actually followed online as well. And I didn't say a damn word to her, and I feel so bad. Afterwards, we ended up talking because then the next event, which I'm about to get into, which was the Christmas in July Kismet market. Uh, we're like, I told her, I was like, I'm so sorry. I never came over to talk to you, and and just sort of like formally introduce myself. And the whole time we were sitting next to each other, but she was really cool about it, and she was very understanding. And I'm sure a lot of vendors uh can relate. Like when you're in the zone, you're in the zone, man. So that was the moon market, and then here we are at the Christmas in July Kismet market. This is the first time I did an event with Kismet. I met the organizer a while back. I actually met her through Dara Carrasco, who's been on the podcast. She's the owner and finder of the Aubrey Richards Boutique. Um, you could check that out if you want. It actually featured both her and her daughter, who usually helps her at these events. Um, it's a great episode. It's a long one, but it's a very fun one. But yeah, so we did Christmas in July, and if you don't know me, know this: I'm a Grinch when it comes to the holidays. I'm a Grinch, and yeah, I mean, I figured, just because I'm trying to book as many events as I can in a month, and they were sweet enough to accept my registration. So, I did Christmas in July, even though I don't even have, I'm not known for creating Christmas related art or anything really. So, luckily I did when I did a holiday market towards the end of last year. I had like several watercolor paintings and illustrations that were Christmas related. A lot of it was just art from like it was like Elf. I painted the Grinch. I did Rudolph. I have an Olaf illustration from years ago. And what else? I did like Christmas cookie. I did a painting of Christmas cookies. So yeah, none of that sold. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. It's like weird because like I always get really hesitant, especially in the holidays for all the holiday markets, because it's like I don't have any Christmas products, and the 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 Christmas art that I do have, like no one seems to want to buy them. They're available on my store, so if you're tuning in and I don't know, you want to decorate your home come the holidays with some Christmas art. Yeah, check out my store. It's the link is in the description. So if you're a fan of Jim Carrey's The Grinch or Will Ferrell's Elf, I have those paintings. But anyway, yeah, so I was like, all right, I don't know what to expect with Christmas in July. Like, if I'm lucky, I'll break even. Um, but yeah, I actually like so far, and I've done two events with Kismet now, and I'll be getting into the second time later. But so like come Christmas in July, this being my first one, I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. But that being said, I do like the setup because it's at this brewery called Star Hill brewery or brewing, and they have this big parking garage where they set up all the vendors. And I don't know, I think it's a great setup, honestly. And despite how hot it was, especially being in the garage, it's kind of like being in the oven. But I don't know, man. Like even if I was sweating my balls off and whatnot, I'm just I keep telling everyone, like, I'm just gonna endure the heat. It's fucking whatever, man. If I'm sweating, I'm sweating. I always bring a little hand towel to dry myself. But I'm just like, it's just funny like hearing everybody complain about how hot it is, and like it's like, it's summertime and we're in a fucking oven basically. So, just stay hydrated, use your little portable fans, you just stay still, don't move around so much as best as you can because you're interacting with people. But I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, it sucks, it's uncomfortable sometimes, but fuck it, man. I just want to be out here. So but and it turned out well. I think I definitely made my money back. But I was short of the goal that I initially set, which is, it's fine. Can't win them all. But I mean, I still made money. And like, I'm not gonna even get into it because there's some conversations I'll have with other vendors towards the end when they come visit. There is always like the point where like vendors start, when we hit like slow parts of the event, vendors will leave their table and venture around and and then just talk amongst each other until customers or attendees start coming in. And you know i just I'm recalling a couple people that would come by and just check in on us and see like how we've been doing. And you know it's like sometimes like I don't know, I feel like a dick saying this, but like when they would ask like, oh yeah, how you guys doing, I'm like, yeah, we're good, like we made table back plus more. And then I would ask them like, how you guys doing, and they're like, yeah, doing all right. like like it doesn't sound as promising. And like I say, you can't win them all. It's very tough to sort of, I don't know, it can be competitive because again, when it comes to the artisans, the makers, a lot of them are rather similar, even though they're similar and different, right? But it's like, just I don't know, sometimes I feel like they're a little more similar to each other than not. But yeah, that was a good turnout. And who was it? There was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh, and actually, speaking of Dara, her and her daughter did swing by.
You the artist? Of course. I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. I wanted to see the energy change when you said.
What else? I think that's about it. So moving on to Kasama Collective. Now, this was particularly exciting because one, this was this was like a Filipino, like this it was like it's like a celebration of Filipino creators and artists. And they were celebrating 3 years with this food truck company, a Filipino food truck company called Atos Grill. And right, am I saying that right? I'll feel bad. Let me just double check. But it was like their 3-year anniversary. Yeah. Atos Sisig and Grill. And yeah, it was like their 3 year working, I guess collaborating with Kasama. And when I first found out about it, they already had booked everybody and whatnot. And then it was like, I think, oh, actually, so all right, so this is actually funny. So this event, the 3 year anniversary event, was that happening? Well, what was it? When did this go down? Let me double check, because there was like all this, there was a little bit of chaos because of the rain. Um, I just want to check real quick. When did this go down? Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, I when I first found out about Kasama Collective's event, they already had booked everybody that they needed, and then day of it downpoured, so they had to move the event uh to the next day, Sunday. But because of those changes, some of the vendors that were scheduled for it had to back out because they had other events booked that day. So it ended up leaving a couple of slots open, one for me. So I jumped in, and in I gotta say, it was really nice being amongst my people. And when I say my people, I'm talking about my fellow Filipinos and Filipinas. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like kind of felt like I was at home. And when I say home, I mean where I came from. Back in northern New Jersey, growing up, I came like I was always attending Filipino parties with my family, and it was the neighborhood I grew up in was very there's a lot of Filipinos in the community. So just again like seeing like just all Filipinos at the event, it's just like it felt like home. And it's funny because like Nicole said the same thing, and so it was really nice seeing all the Filipino vendors, the visitors, you know, and yeah, it was a good time. Same thing. Like I made my bag, right? Isn't that what the kids say? So I made my sales, and if I remember correctly, the fee for the space wasn't expensive, so it was, relatively easy to make that back and then get into that profit margin. But yeah, it was just I don't know, like really it reignited my inner Pinoy flame. Like I've talked about this many times on the podcast, how I want to reconnect with my roots, my culture, like uh, and not just through the food, but through the art and just networking with other Filipinos. Like it just it really ignited that. So I don't know. I really now that I know these people exist here, because like that's the thing in Richmond, I'm like, where are the Filipinos at? I only had known of one uh restaurant, that made Filipino food, right? Auntie Ning's. And I'm just like, where's everybody at? But we ended up finding out where there are bigger Filipino communities in Richmond. Uh so yeah, now that I know about Kasama Collective, I'm definitely, keeping my eye out for future events. Hopefully I'll be able to get in on them. I know that they got some stuff planned for Filipino Heritage Month. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get in on that. But yeah, that was really fun. And just the fact that it was like very last minute, and I got a shout out to my friend Stephanie because she was part of the lineup. And as soon as there was word that people had to drop out, she, she let me know, and I jumped right in. So I got to shout out Stephanie for that. Um, but and as a matter of fact, let me plug her. The least I can do is plug her Instagram for helping me out. But you can, if you're interested, you can find her on Instagram and or Facebook, Saza SAZHA_stars_closet. Right, she's a crocheter, multimedia artist. Um, Jewelry making, charms, like all that good stuff. Um, so yeah, that was a lot of fun. Although I'm disappointed in myself because I didn't eat any Filipino food that day, and I really wanted to, but I was I was working that market by myself majority of the time. Nicole was there setting up with me, but she ended up what did she do? I think she went to go see her mom, and her mom was visiting, so she went to go see her mom and her niece and all that. So yeah, when I'm working alone, I don't like to leave my space. I'd rather starve than leave my my space. So yeah, that was pretty much the gist of that. Like I was like, fuck it, man. I can't, as much as I want to get online to try Anto Sisig's food. Um, I was like, nah, I can't leave my table. Like, even though I'm amongst my people, I just there's still that little bit of paranoia of like, something might get taken, but yeah, it's all good though. It still worked out. But that was fun, and that was a great way to end July. And then August. No, August I only did 3 events. Because on one of those weekends, me and the fam, we went away for a nice little weekend vacation, and which was much needed, I'll say. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, so I only got to book 3 events, and had, of course, first Friday moon market. God damn you, train. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can hear that. Fucking train tracks. So obnoxious. Or not the train tracks, but the goddamn uh the train dude. Bad at words. So yeah, I did first Friday. That was fun. And I didn't get a ticket this time, because the first time I did it, I got a ticket. I got a parking ticket. But now I know where to park. I've learned from my mistakes. Um, but I'm trying to think. Did anything particular happen that Friday? I don't think so. It was just like any other first Friday market block party. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't fun, but I don't think anything in particular went down that stands out. Um, just other than that, again, I'm always just so fortunate that Lauren accepts my invitation, or not my invitation, my application. So that was that, and then the following weekend is when I went away. Then coming back that next weekend, I did for the first time. I want to say this was this artist's first event organizing, but I did this event called "Till Death Do We Art," and this was cool. It was like a different vibe. It was actually kind of like it was like a mix, because a lot of the vendors there were visual artists. They were painters, oil painters, watercolor, printmaking, you know, as opposed to the jewelry making and all that. So this was like this one I really liked, because of that. Like I felt a little more comfortable being amongst other visual artists, and it's just so inspiring seeing all the different styles and whatnot. So that was really fun, and it was a new location. This one, and like, it was funny because that weekend I had that same weekend, Moon Market, and of course all the other markets, but I applied for the Moon Market that same weekend. But I don't know, something in me, I just wasn't sure if I was gonna get accepted this time. Like, I had some doubt, and I just got too eager and anxious. So as soon as and it's like funny because like I didn't know about this event till Death Do We Art until my homie Mary Twist of Twisted Nature Dies. She sent me their flyer, and then I believe I'm pretty sure Stephanie once again sent me their flyer, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll take a chance. Maybe I'll give this a shot. If I don't make money, that would be unfortunate, but there is chance of networking with new people. So, and that was very much the case. Um, and it ended up working out. Like the table fee was just about the same, and I made that. I think I actually doubled that. Like it was a successful event. Um, there were times if I'll be critical. I'll be a little critical. There were moments there that were slow, but there were also some traffic. And I don't know, man. If as long as I make sales, I don't care. Like I don't care if I'm selling to just, the visitors who are art lovers or just other artists or the fellow vendors there. Like I made my money. So that was nice. And as always, I got to network with new artists. So I made a lot of new connections because of that. So honestly, I think there were more benefits doing that event as opposed to doing the moon market, which, I'm not trying to say anything bad about moon market. I fucking love moon market. I actually feel at home with moon market. But it was a nice change of pace, nice change of scenery, and to be surrounded more by visual artists as opposed to the makers. I call them artisans to be a little more controversial. uh Actually, that's not controversial. I don't know. I don't know why they call themselves makers. It's just, you're artisans, you're crafters. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, I digress. Um then the last event, which was just this past weekend, this past Saturday, was the Kismet Print Fest. Now, if you are tuning in and if you've actually tuned into last week's episode, my guest was the organizer. Her name is Gina Gelati, and she was the one that organized this event. I mean, she collaborated with Kismet, but it was really Gina that like this was her idea, her dream, like to put this thing together, and it was for a great cause. If you didn't tune into it, she's a newly digital artist. She's very big into mutual aid, so you know for her, when it comes to making art or like putting together such events like this, it's not so much of like being able to make money as to the community coming together to whether it's like donating art or money for some fundraiser or what. Like there were things they were trying to raise money for. um and Yeah, so I had her on the podcast last week, to promote the event. And honestly, it was a great success. Like, with the help of our fellow vendors that were there, they were great. They tuned into the podcast, they shared all the clips that I made, and I do believe because of that, because of their help, that's why the event turned out to be such a great success. And I took some footage, not as much as I would like to, but I did grab some footage. So I will be putting together a short vlog, and it'll be out on YouTube soon, so you can see like what it what it was like. But this was held at the same location as the Christmas in July at the Star Hill Brewing, in the hot ass garage. And that that day on Saturday, it was fucking hot. It was pretty hot. But again, your boy just endures the fucking heat, man. All right. I like to attribute it to my Filipino genes, fucking we're used to the humidity and the heat. All right. Uh, shit, we got the sun on our flag. So we just like Superman who fucking grabbed the energy and the strength from the sun. Manalo! No, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it was a great success. And I gotta say, Gina, shout out to Gina Gelati. You made it work, and of course with the help of our fellow artists that were a part of it, like, um everyone was a big part of the success. And yeah, I had a lot of fun there. And honestly, I gotta say, really, it may have been, it's definitely one of the, I don't even know, I'm trying to, like, how do I word this? I've had so much fun at this one in particular. And I have to say it probably was because we had really cool neighbors. I've actually, the artist that had her table set up, I've actually met her at the Christmas in July. Her name is Kate Barenhoot. I might be saying that wrong, so I apologize if I don't know if she's gonna catch this or not. But anyway, she's also a watercolor gouache painter. But yeah, her and her sister were next to us, and they're just such cool people. So, great part of that was, just hanging out and talking to them. And and just like I was talking to other people, like some other vendors that were that I met from the Kasama Collective, the Christmas in July, and like the thing that I forgot to mention, what was great about Print Fest is that it focused on print media. So any flat 2D art, like that's what was accepted. And again, just like the Till Death Do We art, like I felt real comfortable because I was just surrounded by other visual artists. Um, and one of the things about that scene is that like that crowd, they're really big into zines. And we talked about that on the me and Gina, we talked about that on her episode. So it was really cool to see like what these zines were about. Like I've seen them here and there at other markets, but I never really took the time to look at them, like really look at them. Like I know how they're made. But Gina explaining like the use and purpose of them made it very clear and really actually uh inspired me to try one myself. I'm kind of waiting to get my own printer so I can just like bang them out, and it'll be less um it'll be more cost effective because yeah, man, paper costs money. But so yeah, I plan on making my own zine one day. So, you know, I'm excited for that. But yeah, I don't know, man. And I think I think the one of the reasons why that event was really successful is because they had a DJ there, and I like to think that the music, because it wasn't like just, I don't know, it was like kind of like club, almost like club music. It was just like really fun, like, nice bopping music. So I'd like to think that the people that are like, either they're just at the bar or they're walking by, they would probably hear the music and be like, oh, what's going on over there? And then come in to check it out. And then they see like, oh shit, you got all these artists, like, let's check them out. And I think that's why it became such a success. And there are talks of another one happening probably next year. Um, but yeah, well, that was a really great time, and I made some new friends, exchanged some numbers. Like that's like super rare, especially for me and my record of making friends. Um, so yeah, man, it was a lot of fun, and I really look forward to when it happens. I'm definitely gonna jump on that shit and join in, because I had a lot of fun, and I loved, the crowd was great, like the artists that were there. Again, I made more new connections. So I'd say the August events have ended for me has been great. I don't think I can end it any better way. So that was August. I do have a couple events booked for September for the first 2 weekends. And I got a couple of other applications pending for the rest of the month. So fingers crossed on those events that I get accepted. Um, but yeah, I mean, you can check the flyer. I'll be sure to share it in the video. It's on my social media. Um, so yeah, that was the summer markets for you. And like, I don't know, maybe you were at one of those events or some of those events. I don't know. Now we're gonna move on to something. Uh, my so I mentioned I had some aha moments. Um, and before I sort of reveal that, I just kind of want to preface with that I had like a month and a half ago, or maybe just a month ago, I joined this uh, Creative Impact Academy. It's basically kind of like like a business course to help um, art businesses, artists to grow their brand, their business, and just learn tactics on how to increase their sales, or like whatever the goal is. Like um the the I'm sorry, I'm like drawing a blank right now. But the guy that put this thing together, his name is Lennon Bone, and he has an account on social media. It's called Stop the Starving Artist, and he created this online course called the Creative Impact Academy. And I was like, you know what? Let me join in on this meeting that they're gonna put together. It's kind of like the pitch, right? Um, and started off with the 7-day trial, and then now I'm actually doing the thing. Um, for like I'm sticking with 90 days, but we'll see how well it goes. Um, everyone's goal is different, but as far as how it's going on my end, I'd like to think it's actually going pretty well. Um, like I'm definitely using some of the tools that they provided on how to grow our social media, or how to make our content a little more I don't want to say better, but just more resonating for the audience. So the thing that they talk about is finding your story and your person. And your person is like, who you're selling to, right? Your demographic. So, through the course, I've discovered like, oh, like this is my story, and like this is who I'm trying to like sell to and connect with. Um, and if I'm being honest, like it really has helped me gain more clarity as to why I make the art that I make, right? Um, because like I've talked about how I don't fully subscribe to finding a niche, right, with your craft. Like I believe that I'm the niche, and that and so does Lennon. So it was like funny, like hearing him say that, because I do believe that. Like I believe the artist is the niche. Um, but as I'm going through this and attending these like coaching calls and these meetings, and also like it's there's like a community platform, so we're all like just checking in and just interacting with each other and picking each other's brains on like ideas and whatnot, and like just being a community. And so far I believe I've gained more clarity, because I'm like, because if you go on my table, if you go to at an event, or if you go on my social media or my website, you will see that I do have a lot of pop art. I have fan art, but I also have a lot of personal art, like my own stuff, which really pertains to having like I have like landscape paintings, which I call really pareidolia art, because they're not just landscapes. There are other things. And of course, I got the Tech Utopia series. So it's like I got all these different styles or categories of art going on. And I believe I've finally figured out the connection, or rather, like I figured out the thing that bridges, the pop art and the tech utopia. And so far, what I believe is that with the pop art, I think because like if you were to go through my portfolio, I got some throwbacks in there, right? I got like Darkwing Duck, I got a painting of the Tick, I've got some, I got Rocco's Modern Life. So I got some old school cartoon characters in there, of course, the Ninja Turtles. So aside from nostalgia, I believe I I create this art not only because like this was stuff I grew up on, like this is stuff you know that I love, but I mean it is that like I believe that I create the pop art, the fan art, uh because like when people see it, they're like, oh man, like I love this as a kid. So you know I believe it allows us to reconnect with our inner child. And like I keep thinking, because like I find myself in this sort of cycle of like just always going back, and I've talked about this. I've been very vocal about me trying to well, this one was more pertaining to like playing retro video games, but like I feel like there are many parts of my childhood that I didn't get to live because I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, right? Like I started hanging out with more mature kids, older kids than my own friends, like my age group. So I feel like a little bit of my like child innocence was taken away. Uh so kind of like going back to like the cartoons and stuff back then, like I think I'm always drawn towards you know watching old cartoons and wanting to play the classic video games, because I missed out on some of those. And you know and we all talk about, oh man, the simpler days, right? um like going back to the cartoons, uh you know they they were so adventurous and experimental with their ideas, like the shit, like like I was trying, when I do my work now, like my artwork, I started this thing where now instead of listening to podcasts in the background, I started not watching, but like I would play like marathons of Saturday morning cartoons, like from the 90s and sometimes from like the 80s. And it's just like it's just like it's astonishing just seeing again like how what's the word? Like I said adventurous, but there's a better word for that. They I don't know if it's like innovative or what, but like, they really tried almost anything, like and having, listening to the cartoons playing in the background. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I do spend uh portions of my morning watching some of those cartoons, like when I'm eating breakfast or like, just like settling down from working out and stuff. But I mean, man, the cartoons that they had back then, like biker mice from Mars. Um, what was it? I mean, you got your Street Sharks. Um, there's this one called was it like Space Bucky O'Hare? It's like this, like this space rabbit. He's like green and he's got like this, you know, like this team that they're like out in space, like what else? Like of course my mind is gonna go blank, but it's like it's any cartoon you can think of during those early days, but then some of them that were like really forgotten, like I'm trying to think what else. What was another one that really caught me by surprise? There's one called Sports Stars, where it's a cartoon um about Michael Jordan, uh this some football player, and Wayne Gretzky, and they're a team, and they're just a team that just helps saving people, like what? It's like so random, and like that's the thing, like they're just like these like very I don't know, maybe ambiguous like ideas that they were really trying with. And like looking back, like you can laugh at them and be like, oh, that's so dumb now. But I don't know, man. Like I look back and maybe I'm just becoming more sensitive or what, but I'm and just nostalgic. I'm just like, man, you know what? Like I can appreciate the efforts. And yeah, I wish I can just think of fucking Samurai Pizza Cats. Oh my god. So look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Um, there's so many cartoons, man. And it's also funny seeing like cartoon adaptations of classic movies because I completely forgot that they did a Karate Kid cartoon series. Um, what else? There was like a John Candy. It's called like Candy's Camp cartoon. So many cartoons, man. The Wildcats cartoon, which is a comic book by Image, if you're not familiar. But yeah, man, there's so many like just old school cartoons that came out. And yeah, so um kind of like going back to like why I'm always drawn to it, and what was like really amazing to see was like between like in the commercial breaks, and not just the commercial breaks, but at the end of like these TV programs, like the cartoons, like they were always trying to advertise these moral principles and like moral standards without like woke agenda, because everything these days, especially shit that's rebooted, is fucking they always got these political woke agendas behind them now, right? Race swapping and all the gender swapping and all this shit. Like it's fine, right? You want to be inclusive, but like it's gotten to the point where it's like, all right, this is kind of ridiculous now with the certain choices that you're making. Um, but like you go back to these cartoons, man, like they would, in a sense, they were still promoting like these positive messages for the youth without all the complicated political bullshit. So and that's the thing. I feel like that's what we've like that's where we steered so far away from these days with all just and I think a lot of us can agree, like with the extreme advancements of technology and the usage of social media. Like, we have all the access to information, so much access and easy access to information where like kids these days are thinking like adults, which is like mind blowing. And it's like you can barely live like an innocent childhood anymore because you're just so plugged in to all this shit. Like even if your parents have, those like parental safety guards on their devices or whatever platforms you're using, it's like your kids' friends could be exposed to more adult content and share that with your kid, like so that's why I'm beginning to believe that's why I'm always like when I do fan art or pop art, I always like to go into, like the 90s stuff, or like the early 2000s stuff because it was just simpler then. It was, things were just slower because we didn't have fucking, we weren't glued to our screens. The worst thing you can do back then was like sit too close to the TV. And like my boy Mike Salvatore said, like now the shit's like, it's like you got the Oculus now, you got the VR shit, like the screens are in your eyes now. So it's mind blowing. And and I feel like, and of course there are major benefits with this technology, but again, like being so plugged in, I feel like it just makes it harder to just enjoy the moments that are had. When like I talked about it so many times where if I'm like out with a group of friends and if nobody's got anything to talk about, what do you know? You're on your phone. Like everybody's on their fucking phones when they're all together. It's like, dude, we're all together. Why don't we just be together and be in the moment and just whether you're talking about something meaningful or serious or just bullshitting, riffing, like just like be there with each other. So that's my thing. And I think that ties into tech utopia, like that's why I created that series, just be, talking about, just the future with the technology, how plugged in we are. And, it's just like, so I use, or not use, but I create the artwork for Tech Utopia to kind of bring or really just remind people, to be aware, or to be aware of our current obsession with technology and like, just again, I feel like I'm just going to keep repeating myself, but the more plugged in we are, the less we are, the less present we are when we have company around. And and that I believe was my aha moment, was just realizing like, oh, this is why I create the things I create, because you know times are moving so fucking fast, to the point where, I mean, I don't even want to get into it. I'm really gonna just try to digress, but like, the world's fucking crazy, right? We all know that. And and sure, I think things are just so crazy because we're all just tuned in to like everything around the world, and it fucks with our minds. And it corrupts us from being able to just be here and just be in a moment and enjoy our life, to have gratitude. So that's why I believe I create the art that I create. And yeah, so that's all I got to say about that. Um, and yeah, so I think I'm just gonna close this episode with a few words of inspiration from the none other, the legendary Sifu Bruce Lee, with a quote that goes like this: "A goal is not always meant to be reached. It often serves simply as something to aim at." Let that sink in. If you've been tuning in this whole time, I would like to thank you guys for sticking with me. Uh, Whether you're listening or watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit those buttons to keep up with the podcast, or just to, again, if you're only listening, definitely hop on YouTube, check out my channel, because I do post blogs and art videos of my creative process. And of course, the podcast is on there if you want to see the visuals. And yeah, so please like, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell. Hell, shit, leave a comment, because I would love to, be more engaging and more interactive with the audience. So, whether you got questions or just, comments, suggestions, whatever, man, just, leave it in the comment section and I'll be sure to reply. And with that, please stay safe, stay healthy, stay driven, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.